So if you're planning to get a business loan, what are some of the things you should look out for? Some of the things you shouldn't do, some of the don'ts of this process? Well, in today's video, that's what I'm going to cover, as I work pretty regularly with businesses that are seeking business loans, particularly startups. So the first thing you don't want to do, and this one's pretty obvious, is don't be unprepared. Have an understanding of what you're looking for, who you're going to speak with, how you're going to present it, how much money you want, what you're going to use it for, things like that, even your financial situation and your credit score. So when you are starting a business, if the business doesn't have any history, regardless of the legal structure of the business, chances are that the lenders are going to look very closely at your personal credit score. So it's important to not only have a credit score and a credit history, but to have a good credit score. Because if you have a very weak credit score and you're going for a business loan for a brand new business, chances are you're not going to get it, or it's going to be at least, harder to get that loan or get favorable terms, because that is one of the main things they're going to base the loan off of. And then the other thing with being prepared is just your financial situation. So if you've quit your job and you started this business and this business has, no history, no sales, nothing like that, it just becomes very risky for the lenders. Put yourself in their situation. Would you lend to someone that doesn't have a job, doesn't have an income, doesn't have a good credit score, doesn't have much credit history, and is starting a new business that hasn't, proven itself at all, doesn't have any sales? Like, that feels like very risky if you were the lender. So that's the first thing, is don't be unprepared. Make sure you're prepared before you even speak to the bankers, the lenders. The next thing to avoid doing is having a business plan that's not well prepared, that's not tailored properly for the person who's reading it. And I've made another video on this, but basically you want to find out who you're applying for a business loan with, and then ask them exactly what they want to see. What financial projections do they want to see? What financial statements? What should be included in the written portion of the business plan, so that you can give them exactly what they're looking for. Don't give them a 3-page business plan when they want 25 pages. Don't give them 25 pages when they want 5. Make sure you know exactly what they're looking for and adjust that business plan accordingly. Another thing with the business plan is I generally wouldn't focus too much on the written portion. That can be very important, especially for some lenders, some organizations. But oftentimes, if you're going directly to a bank or a credit union, they're going to care more about the numbers. So you want to make sure that the numbers side of things, the financials, the financial projections, that those are really well put together in terms of how they're presented, what's included, and that the numbers really make sense and they're well researched and they're very realistic. Which leads me to my next point, is don't come with unrealistic numbers. If you're starting some little bakery and you're projecting your first month to have sales of $2 million, like, that's insane. That's not going to happen. Don't go asking a bank for a loan, projecting that you're going to have $2 million in sales your first month in really any business. Like, they're not going to take you seriously. So make sure your numbers, again, are well researched and realistic for your industry and, for your situation. And it usually takes longer for startup businesses to just gain momentum with, revenue, with finding customers and clients. The next thing to avoid doing is positioning yourself as if you're a startup when you're not. Now, if you are completely a startup, that's fine, don't lie. But I've seen this before where people say, oh, I'm starting a business, when in reality, they've actually been engaging in business activity for many years. It's just been more of like an informal home-based business. But if you're making sales, if you are generating profit, you have a business, whether you've registered it formally or not, whether or not you're filing taxes, claiming business expenses and collecting sales taxes, you're in business. So if you've been operating that way for 5 years, don't go to a bank and say, hey, I'm starting a business, because they're going to treat you a lot differently. It's easier to get a business loan when your business has a proven track record, when you have sales, when it's been in existence for a while. So again, just make sure you are honest about your situation. And if you have years of experience doing this already, then make sure you indicate that instead of saying that you're brand new to starting a business. The next thing to avoid is asking for too much. And that's just in general, like, don't ask for $1 million if you really only need, $40,000 or whatever it may be. That's an exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying there. The other thing is, don't ask too much in terms of the total amount you will need. So for example, if you've calculated your business startup cost to be like $100,000, just to make it an easy example, and you ask for $100,000, so you're asking for 100% from the bank, they're going to say no. They want to see that you're taking some risk, that you have some of your own money in the startup of the business. So usually they would want to see maybe like 25% of your own money going to the startup of the business. So if it costs you $100,000 to start your business, maybe asking them for 70 would be a lot more realistic. Because again, if you ask for 100% of it, you're going to get rejected from most institutions, especially conventional lenders like banks and credit unions. So hopefully this was helpful, gave you some useful perspective on preparing to get a business loan. If you want to see a sample business plan, I actually have one on my website, one with lots of details, so you probably won't need to write one that lengthy, but it is a good resource just to look at and maybe kind of compare your business plan or get some ideas or refine your financials. So I will leave a link to that in the video description. And if the video was useful, please click like. And if you'd like to check out my YouTube channel, please go ahead. I have well over 220 videos now that cover business startup and business management topics.